All right, hey, what's going on, you guys? So let us. All right, cool. So what we are. That's actually my mic. All right, so the purpose of this video is to pretty much help you guys, put the put things in the right perspective, put things in the right box, right? When we think about the metaverse can be very overwhelming, right? Because of course the metaverse is all of crypto plus a few different things that, different, sectors of, the tech space, are including. But essentially, the metaverse I like to put things in a box so that I can easily reference things or understand things when I encounter them. So you guys know I'm full-time crypto, but the sector of crypto that I focus on is decentralized finance. The reason why I focus on decentralized finance is because I believe that decentralized finance is one of the only sectors in crypto that are generating revenue, and that revenue is actually being shared with the community. Yes, Infinity and OpenSea are generating massive amounts of revenue, but that revenue is being, captured by the centralized entities of Infinity, of OpenSea. But when we move over to the decentralized finance sector, the revenue that these protocols are generating oftentimes are redistributed back to the token holders of these different environments. So what I want to do is kind of walk you through how I think about segmenting, or the mental frameworks I use to help me better understand this entire space, right? So let's go ahead and do this. All right, hopefully you guys can see my screen. I'm using a new software. Hopefully it works pretty well. Allow me to exit out of Discord. Boom. All right. Now, when I say get a lay of the land, this is what I mean. So in crypto, in the metaverse, we have this virtual space, right, that essentially mimics the traditional world, right? It mimics it from a conceptual standpoint, but the things inside the metaverse look and behave a little different. But the same way we have land, in the physical world, we have land in the universe. The same way as we have banks in the physical world, we have banks in the metaverse. The same way you wear clothes in the physical world, you will wear clothes in the avatars in the metaverse. Wear clothes, change their clothes. They can go and buy unique pieces of clothing and things like that. So as you can see, it starts to get really expansive really, really quickly. So the best way to understand the metaverse and this cryptoverse, in my opinion, is working from the ground up, right? The reason for the season is blockchain technology, right? Blockchain technology is the real innovation that makes all of these things worth it, right? Because essentially what the metaverse is doing is allowing us to capture the value that we give to these virtual spaces, whether they're social medias, whether they're different forums, or, whatever it is, blogs, music, right? Blockchain makes it so that we actually retain the ownership in that. So as it's being shared all throughout the metaverse or being transferred, we actually benefit from that. Another really powerful thing that the metaverse does is it removes the middleman from anything where we need a middleman. We need middleman. Banks are big middlemans. It removes the need for banks. Lawyers, attorneys are middlemen. It removes a lot of the things that it removes the need from attorneys from a lot of the things that we require attorneys from. For example, title transfer. If I own a house or something and I got a deed or I need to, get something transferred, guess what? I got to go through a whole entire court process. I got to get a lawyer. I got to do all of that. Blockchain makes it so that you don't have to do it, right? Because what blockchain does, or what blockchain is, it creates an open environment. So this metaverse, this cryptoverse is an open environment. We can't look behind the curtain on different banks or different businesses or different entities. We can't peel behind the curtain and really scrape with the fine-tooth comb and see and monitor exactly what's going on. The blockchain allows us to see. So since everybody is looking and is able to see, it makes it a trustless system. So it's really important to understand the underlying essence of the reason and the season for the metaverse. So when we start thinking about, okay, how do you create digital scarcity? How do you create these environments, or how do you create these things that allows you to remove the middleman? How do you create these things in a trustless environment? And the answer is you create it within the environment that was built for it. So that's why that's where you hear things like Ethereum come into play, right? So the same way you use your Apple App Store, your Android, Google Play Store, and you purchase an app and you use that app within that environment, Ethereum is the same thing, except when developers are building these apps that are actually called dApps, decentralized applications, when people are building these dApps, they build them, and instead of putting them inside of an Apple store or a Google Play Store, they actually put them inside of the Ethereum network because it's permissionless. They don't have to ask permission to post it or to host it within the Ethereum network. They don't have to, worry about any scrutiny or being blocked or being, anything, right? It's an open environment. If they can convince the community to come and use their dApp, there is free range, right? So that levels the playing field, right? There's no middleman in that anymore, right? So what's happening is Ethereum can be looked at, Ethereum is a layer one. So it's like, think about the layer ones as the core blockchains, right? The core blockchains. And when I say blockchain, I want you to think about environment, right? Because blockchains are what house all of this information, right? All of these dApps, everything that we see, NFTs, right? All of those things are hosted on top of a blockchain. So the way that I conceptualize that, the way that I simplify that, is I look at all of the different blockchains as different nations, right? You have the US, you have China, you have Russia, you have Ghana, you have a bunch of different, you got continents, right? You got multiple countries within different continents. So look at these layer ones, such as Ethereum, such as Solana, such as Phantom, such as Avalanche, right? Look at these as different continents or different countries, but essentially they're their own separate piece of land, right? The same way that we function. The US is here, China is here, Russia is here, whatever the case is. They operate using their own set of rules. There's pros and cons to utilizing these different environments or operating within these different environments, right? So when we think about these layer ones, think about them as if they are totally different environments, such as different countries. So the whole reason for the season is the transition of power, right? And the largest transfer of wealth in human history. What's going on is there's a reconstruction of our world that's going on right now, right? There's a reconstruction of that. And a lot of it starts with the financial system, which is why I focus on what I call the meta money, right? The meta money. I want to know where the money is coming from, where it's being created in this metaverse, who has control over it, how are they directing it, and how can I get a piece of the fees generated by this thing. So that's typically what I focus on. Now, those layer ones those layer ones, those layer ones, I consider the land, right? And we're looking for gold, right? Gold as in the opportunity to take advantage of the greatest wealth transfer in history. That's where it's coming from. People are creating things and allowing the rest of the world to actually participate in those things. And essentially it looks like a gold rush, right? So the land where you mine the gold are these layer one blockchains. So it's Ethereum, it's Avalanche, it's Phantom. And just like land here in Russia, it might be a little more, it might be a colder environment. There's a lot more snow than if you're here in America and you're in the South, right? You're in the South here in America. That land is different. So we can expect to reap different rewards because certain land is more appropriate for certain things, right? So you might see, a lot of NFTs hosted on Ethereum because their land is more suitable for NFTs. You might see a lot of decentralized protocols move on to the Phantom network because of the specifications of that Phantom network, right? Art and decentralized finance rely on two totally different things. Art doesn't have to be fast. Decentralized finance needs to be fast. So they might, so you might see more products birthed on the Phantom network, right, in the future possibly, right, or networks that make that environment more friendly for what they're trying to do. So the land, the layer ones, right, provide an opportunity to mine what I would call, or to mine for gold, right? Now, in order to mine for gold, we have to have, we gotta use some tools, right? So, when we mine for gold, we have to use tools, right? So let's say, for example, we're mining on the Ethereum network, right? We got some Ethereum, so that's a part of our strategy. We got some Ethereum because that's what allows us to operate in that environment. If I want to operate within any of these environments, I have to have that. I have to own a piece of that environment in order to operate in it, right? That's just how it goes. So if I have some Ethereum, right, and I want to mine, I want to figure out some type of opportunity. All right, so you run into, different products, which I call tools, right? And those tools allow you to take your asset and earn more just by simply depositing into this tool. So these tools typically do all the work for you. They vary in risk, right? But you can deposit different assets into these tools, right? Whether you're lending or whether you're depositing into some type of yield aggregator, something that seeks the highest form of yield within that environment, or maybe you are providing liquidity, or you're a part of some type of creative new structure. Right? There's always something new in crypto, but essentially those are the tools, right? We use those tools on the land that we own to mine for gold. So to give you an example of what that looks like, for example, let's say I own some Ethereum, right? Let's say I own Ethereum and I want to be able to, make some money off of this thing somehow. I can go to something like Yearn Finance, right? I can go to something like Yearn Finance, and Yearn Finance, what Yearn Finance is pretty much a yield aggregator. So you deposit money in, it'll literally maneuver around this ecosystem and find the best opportunities for you. So notice here, they really only have, so notice here, they'll highlight the highest opportunities. So you come to Yearn, which is a tool, and you deposit, some type of asset. Right here is saying, hey, you can earn 66, pretty much 67% APY on this asset. You can earn 56% APY on this asset. You can earn 48% on that. So let's click on it and see exactly what that process would look like. All right. So So what this is saying is, in order to, what this is saying is, in order for us to use, this, this is the asset that we have to deposit. So it's saying we need to deposit some liquidity in Curve, right, in the form of this Euro token, and whatever else this is paired against, right? And it's going to vary, right? This is something that I don't deal with euros and GBP and stuff like that. I no doubt that eventually, I think to be able to earn 56% a year providing liquidity on Curve for euros is pretty dope in itself. But what we're looking at is these are all the different options that we have, right? These are all the different options that we have. So we can look through the different APYs, right? And depending on our risk tolerance, we can say, all right, well, I have an asset. I want to activate this tool by depositing my asset in this tool, right? And different tools are powered by different assets. Some tools can be powered by a whole lot of assets. Some tools can only be powered by a handful of assets. Yearn is one of those tools that can be powered by a lot of different assets. It all simply depends on your risk tolerance and what you are looking to get. So for example, we can literally deposit USDT, which is a stable coin. It's a centralized stable coin, so I typically stay away from it. But we can deposit USDT and earn 8.7% a year by, like I said, mining, right? Because although USDT is a stable coin, that same money, those same dollars that are sitting in your bank account aren't getting anywhere near 8.7% APY, right? It's just not happening, right? So it's not happening. It's just not happening. So the way to understand this thing, the way to understand these, like I said, we pick different land, right? And then we use tools on that land and we learn those tools and figure out, okay, how can we extract value? How can we, what can we put into this tool to maximize, our asset, right? So that's once again, it's important to understand the context or the framework that we think about it. So on top of the land, there are tools. We use the tools to mine for more crypto, whatever that looks like. Those opportunities will not look the same way every single time, right? But we'll oftentimes see some very high APYs, some very high APRs. Of course, the higher the APY, the higher the APR, typically the more risk is involved, because oftentimes those high APYs and high APRs are what's used to attract liquidity or to attract a new community. And there's pros and cons to that. Of course, those incentives attract a lot of capital fast, but the name of the game is capital preservation, right? So as we start seeing things with those high APYs and high APRs, it's just important to keep capital preservation in mind, make sure that we're making an intelligent, smart decisions based on, what it is. So what I like to do is, I'll focus on one or two networks at a time. I'll identify some different narratives. I'll find some different narratives that are going on. And when I say narratives, for example, like there's a lot of talk, around a certain ecosystem, right? I'll stick to that ecosystem. And as long as they have community, I'll spot different opportunities that fit the narrative that ecosystem is clinging to the most, right? So as you guys are, going through this journey, keep in mind, keep in mind exactly what the mission is, and the mission is to mine, to take advantage of these new territories, and mine for gold, aka whatever these different digital assets are, right? And once we're mining for gold, once we find different 10x projects, or we find projects that we can earn 50%, 10% on. We take those earnings and we dump them into our core holdings, things that we feel really, really positive about, really, really solid for as far as long term. Things like things like Bitcoin, things like Ethereum, right? A few other projects that some of you guys may have a lot of conviction for, but the goal is to utilize these different environments to earn money at an accelerated pace, right, within reason, and then dump that into our larger holdings. So I hope that clears some things up or put it in a proper perspective for you guys. Continue to the next video. We'll continue to get you guys started on some with MetaMask and get Zerion together and things like that, and definitely best way to utilize this community so that you guys can learn and gain experience and gain confidence and gain accessibility to some real alpha information. So until next time.